Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon or good evening, depending on where in the world you're joining us from today. My name is Rachel Morrison. I am the project manager at Good Neighbours Canada. We are hosting this event this morning Toronto time, of course. So I'd like to officially welcome everybody to our Wishing Well event, a discussion of water accessibility in rural Zambia with Good Neighbours. So we are joined today by our lovely colleagues from Good Neighbours Zambia. We have a few Good Neighbours Canada team members here as well, and then some of you lovely lot who have come to join us this morning. So I'd love to invite people to sort of drop a little hello message in the chat, introduce yourself, let us know where in the world you're joining us from, and if you're from an organisation, what organisation are you from? So just a brief introduction to us, for those of us who are not familiar with Good Neighbours Canada. We are a Toronto-based charity working both here in Canada and internationally in 49 countries worldwide under the Good Neighbours International umbrella. So Good Neighbours works to empower people and transform communities to build a safe and sustainable future for all. And Good Neighbours Canada has recently been lucky enough to move into a relatively new office over in the Scarborough region of Toronto. So in the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge that we are currently working in the traditional homeland of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. This territory is covered by Treaty 13, signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit, and the Williams Treaties, signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. We respect the Indigenous population, we honour their deep connection to this land, and we value the important contributions made to our history and society to this day. We are committed to continuing to listen and to learn, and we encourage others to do the same. So I'd now like to hand over to our Executive Director, Ms. Hyang Cho, who's going to tell us why we're here today.
Thank you, Rachel. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. Allow me to introduce you the remarkable Wishing Well project in Zambia, what we are doing in collaboration with Good Neighbours Canada and Good Neighbours Zambia. And together, we've taken mission of building 12 water wells in various villages across Zambia, providing these communities with accessible, clean, and water. In just a moment, our speaker, Victoria from Good Neighbours Zambia, will present the details of this project and illustrate how the Wishing Well is impacting on every lives of these communities. But let me emphasize that these initiatives goes beyond just providing clean and safe water. It is about transforming the educational landscape for the children in these areas. By ensuring that children has access to clean water source, and also we are helping them thrive, grow, and building brighter futures. Today, I invite every one of you to become a part of the life-changing mission. Your support can fund the construction of water wells in rural area of Zambia. We are currently running the Step for Water virtual event. It's very simple. You can join online and take a part activities like running, walking, or bicycling at your own pace, anytime, anywhere, to complete the 5K or 10K challenge. As a token of our appreciation, participants will receive a kit, including t-shirt, medal, bracelet, and valuable coupon for our online market. Join us in ensuring future every community has access to clean water, improving well-being and educational opportunity for all. Thank you again, everyone, for your presence and support. Thank you.
Thank you, Hyang. So without any further delay, I'm very, very happy and honoured to introduce our wonderful colleague, Miss Victoria, who is joining us today from Good Neighbours Zambia. So over to you, Victoria.
Thank you very much. And thank you everyone for being part of this mission and taking part in this step. And my name is Victoria Nangoi. I'm working with Good Neighbours Zambia at the head office, and I'm in charge of the water project here in Zambia. Or water and sanitation projects, to be clear, in Zambia. I would like to thank you all for this opportunity for me to share the current situation here in Zambia. And without further ado, I think I will begin my presentation, if that's okay with everyone. Okay, a brief introduction of Good Neighbours Zambia. Good Neighbours Zambia has been in operation since 2012 in Zambia. And that's over 11 years of our operations now in the country. And we have been working in areas that have to do with education, child protection, health and sanitation, water, income generation, child rights advocacy, community partnerships that foster resilient communities. And Good Neighbors pursues the sustainable development of communities, as mentioned, to empower communities, to bring the feeling of ownership among community members and development. And some of our operations, as you can see in some of the pictures that I've shared, are some of the activities that we conduct here at Good Neighbors Zambia. We have 5 community development centers where our activities are currently running. And some of the activities, as you can see from some of the photos we have shared, a sponsorship program of children. And under our sponsorship program, we have over 5,000 children on the sponsorship program. And we also do support with water facilities in villages and in schools. And as you can see, we also have our local offices where we also engage our community members to help us, and we collaborate with our community members in order to ensure that communities are developing at the same pace. So some of our community members, as you can see in the picture, received also some bicycles due to long distances in rural areas from houses. We distributed bicycles to ensure that they are able to reach each and every child. We do also participate in health projects. We conduct health checkups for children on the sponsorship program. And amongst our community development members in our 5 community development projects, we have about 160 members currently in our project. And we work with over 30,000 community people in the different community development projects where we are working. In Zambia, the recommended depth for the water wells that are being supported here by Good Neighbors Zambia is about 50 meters. And during the drilling procedure of some of these water wells, as you can see in the community, we do engage the community to participate in these activities. The community members are the ones that actually allocate the land for the drilling procedures to take place. And they give us a specific land where we can set up these water wells in order for each and every community member to have access to a water point when it is set up. And as you can see, since we began our operations in 2012, Good Neighbors has been able to set up over 200 water facilities. In order to ensure the quality of water, water wells are drilled in a way that after the drilling process is done, water samples are taken, which are also tested to ensure that the community is not vulnerable to poor water when the water well has been drilled. And those reports are usually shared with organizations to ensure that we have also a record about the facility that we have supported the community with. And as you can see, Zambia is a landlocked country, and it has no access to sea water. So we just have inland water facilities. And as you can see from the ranking, Zambia is also in a serious state of the global hunger index. We still experience high levels of poverty and access to much needed facilities, inclusive of water and sanitation facilities in the country. As you can see, most of the population here in Zambia reside in rural areas. A large portion of Zambia has not yet been fully developed. Hence, we lack a lot of basic facilities. These facilities, which include education, health facilities, water and sanitation facilities as well. And as you can see, most of the rural areas in where our community development centers are located are in rural areas of Zambia. And these areas still lack connectivity to water supply. Hence, we find people in the community having access to water points, such kinds of water facilities. We find them picking up water from such points, such shallow wells, as you can see, the picture of the child there who's who's trying to draw water from the well. And if you can even notice, the water well does not really look very safe for the child to be drawing water from there. And there have been incidents of accidents of children falling into such water wells during their chores as for drawing water at home. This is most common in Zambia for children to be sent out to draw water. And you can even see that in most of the communities where we operate, we would find that values vary. And we find parents taking children from school to focus more on chores at home. And some of the chores include fetching of water due to poor water supply at the household. As you can see in the picture that we have shared as well, it is a picture of one of our community development project areas where we see children mothers rely on this kind of river water, ponds and streams to avoid walking a long distance to access safe and clean, reliable water facilities. Hence, they use these sources for drinking, cooking, washing, bathing as well. So you find that one water point as such in the picture, the first picture, is accommodating all those activities and also people are participating in drawing water for drinking from the same facilities. So this is a huge challenge because a substantial portion of Zambia lacks access to clean and safe drinking water. And people in rural parts of Zambia are unable to afford basic hygiene water, such as water filters or chlorine to treat their drinking water. In the picture here, you can see the state and quality of water that is being drawn from these water wells. And these rural parts of the community, they are unable to access treatments such as chlorine to treat this kind of water. And additionally, due to lack of education, such areas, people are not also aware of the importance of boiling water for drinking. Hence, we find a number of people being vulnerable to waterborne diseases that could be preventable and, avoid illnesses such as diarrhea, cholera, and typhoid. And as Good Neighbors Zambia, this is a picture illustrating some of the water facilities that are supported for village boreholes. These are supported in communities as a whole. As you can see, community members are sharing their happiness of receiving a water well. And as you can see, the water facility produces clean water, and they are able to fetch water from their buckets to use in the household. Here is a picture illustrating, these are some of the water facilities that are supported at schools. Due to poor electrical connections in rural areas, these facilities such as schools are supported with solar-powered pumps and tanks to ensure that they have enough adequate water during their time at school. And In the other picture here, you can see the pupils are also able to draw water. They're able to draw water from the same water point after school hours, because some of the houses are just located just nearby schools, and schools happen to have the water facilities that can accommodate their drinking water, their household water needs. And the provision of such water facilities in schools ensure that school children use their time in classes learning and not drawing water for the school, in order to ensure that their sanitation facilities are being kept, are clean, also hygienically useful. Additionally, Good Neighbors also supports schools and other health facilities with sanitation services. As you can see, these are the kind of sanitation facilities that we provide in the community for community schools. And you can see that a very small percentage of the population have access to basic sanitation as well in rural areas, and as we have also observed in our community development areas. And Good Neighbors ensures that training is accompanied by the installation of water sanitation services in schools and communities. And due to some of the reasons that we have also highlighted from the communities that people give us why they do not use toilets, even when they are set up in the community, is it varies from poverty and not having enough finances to build sanitation facilities, and people preferring open defecation, and the reason can extend to cultural issues related to sharing toilets among family members. Hence, we find people would refrain from using such sanitation facilities. Hence why it is important that during an installation of a water point or a sanitation point, we also do accommodate it with trainings to ensure that the community is also able to use these facilities that have been installed in the community. And in most of our schools in the community, we find that poor habits such as not washing hands with soap after using the toilet due to lack of hygiene training contributes to high prevalence of waterborne diseases that are preventable. And as you can see, as you can see in the photo, we do take part and take time to train a lot of pupils and a lot of pupils on proper hand washing and with soap, to ensure that the community members, they can also train their siblings at home, and they can also share this information with their parents at home in order to change the mindset of hygiene in the community as well. So our trainings go a long way from the school, and they can also share at household level with the hygiene practices. And also, we also did a distribution during COVID-19, where there was a lot of distribution of hand wash basins at schools, and also hygiene medicated soap, to ensure that the spread of COVID-19 was reduced amongst the community members. Good Neighbors supports the community as well, and in our engagement, we also engage the community in maintenance of these water points that are supported to the community. So we also do organize water committees to ensure that the maintenance of these water points that are set up in the community. These committees are responsible for monitoring the water facilities that are installed, and they're also responsible for ensuring that these water facilities are kept clean in a manner that they do not also contribute to the spread of waterborne diseases. This is a map that that shows some of our water points that have been registered using the M-Water application. So the M-Water application was established in 2012 by USAID to use mobile technology to improve water monitoring. Good Neighbor Zambia used this application to also register the water facilities that we have installed in communities. And from the map, you can see some of the water points that have been registered in the application. And this application that we have, that we are using currently, we have also taken time to train our local staff on how to use the application. So this application has been used by numerous organizations as well, governments, to monitor water facilities and to ensure that the state of the water facility is usable. So as Good Neighbor Zambia, we have taken also a lot of time to ensure that our local staff are trained to use the application, to ensure that we do not mislead people with the information that is being uploaded. This application can be accessed by anyone with a mobile phone can access this app, register, and search for the water facilities that we have registered on this application. And what this application helps us with is to ensure that the functionality of these water points, usually how it's being used is if you are in a place like Lusaka, you would open the application, and if you open the application and you're looking for a water point, it will direct you to a water point that is safe and clean. And that brings us to the end of my presentation. Thank you so much, Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Victoria. Just a reminder, if anybody has any questions related to this presentation, you can drop them in the chat here. What we're going to do now, the Good Neighbors Zambia team were able to go out and take some videos of people in their local community whose lives have changed because of the implementation of these water wells. So I'm just going to share my screen now, and we're going to watch these case studies to sort of fully understand the changes and the impact that can be made because of this work.
Nika mwashanzara mseti matapa manzi mugodi umu mapezeka doti tikamwa manzi kumakala odwala mumala madairia so manzi mudoti tikamwa manzi aya timadwala kumaningi chemala mumababa.
My name is Moses Tari. I'm the local staff in UNCTP. Thank you so much, Members Canada, for the water facility you gave us in UNCTP. We are here, thank you.
Thank you so much, Members Canada, pamanza emutuyemutuyera timamwa tinasiyano kulada iliya vitu zokubalira vija timawashira nokuyikisa zimene zinachozinamo.
So you can see just how things change from the situation that these communities lived in before to then being able to implement these water wells, being able to bring these hand pumps in and changing lives and making people feel a lot healthier, which is absolutely amazing. So thank you so much, Victoria, for that wonderful presentation, and to the whole Good Neighbours Zambia team. This is really beautiful work, and I can see some questions starting to come in already. What I would like to say just before we move on to the Q&A section is that we are here today for a very specific reason. As Hyang started to mention earlier, we are currently in the middle of our fundraiser here in Canada, where we are aiming to build 6 new water wells in partnership with Good Neighbours Zambia throughout 2023. So we are encouraging people to join in with this cause through our Step for Water campaign. So this is a virtual challenge, which means you can complete it in your own time at any point throughout this month until the end of September. And it is a walking or running or maybe even cycling challenge that you set yourself and commit to it and complete it. And then by the end, you will receive a participation kit from us, Good Neighbours Canada, including a medal, a t-shirt, some wristbands, some discount codes for our online stores. And there are some extra prizes for people who get involved with our mini competitions throughout the campaign as well. So I'm also going to play a video which tells you a little bit more about Step for Water and shows you how you can get involved.
One of these worlds is not like the other. In rural Zambia, while their parents work, children must walk up to 4 hours every day to their closest source of water, which is often contaminated, leaving them vulnerable to serious harm. At Good Neighbours Canada, we plan to change this. We are building wells in rural Zambian villages to provide easy access to clean, safe drinking water. And you can help. This summer, we challenge you to a 5 or 10K run, walk or cycle to fundraise to build 6 new water wells. Let's bring clean water to the people who need it the most. Let's help them to drink, cook, clean, and send their children to school instead of having to drop out to fetch water.
Thank you, Good Neighbours Canada!
Let's move together and step for water so kids don't have to.
Okay, so if that hasn't explained it, we do have a link a little bit further up in the chat, which will bring you right through to the registration page. If you are interested in completing your own Step for Water, you can follow that link, sign up today, and we'll send out your participation kit for you to get involved. Okay, so it seems to be time now to move on to our Q&A session. Thank you so much, everybody that sent in some questions already. If it's okay, I would like to begin the Q&A session, Victoria. One of the reasons, as I say, that we're here today is to fundraise for more water wells. So it's so wonderful to hear about the changes and all of the amazing positive impact that Good Neighbours Zambia has been able to create already. Can you possibly tell us a little bit about the reality of how many people are still living without access to clean water, whether this is still a problem, and if so, how much of a problem it continues to be today?
To give you an answer, we still have a very high percentage of people who lack access to clean and safe drinking water in our rural parts of Zambia. And it's above 60% is still lacking in water facilities. And we find them in a situation where they are sourcing closest points from rainwater. Rainwater would leave small ponds in their backyard or something like that, or they would themselves dig shallow wells, and which has left them in this situation where they have to source water from those points as opposed to going a longer distance to fetch water from a more reliable source that is maybe set up by good neighbors or by the government. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay. The first question I can see here in the chat is from George, who says, can you tell us more about the feelings towards using washroom blocks in the community? So the toilet blocks that you mentioned. Is it that there is stigma around using shared toilets?
Thank you so much for that question. It's more of a cultural belief of family members using one toilet. So there's still a lot of education and sensitization among us surrounding that topic, because we find that elders in the community would not want to share the same point, like a toilet, with their children in the household. So you find a situation where elders would just walk into a bush or walk past the house to an open bush, and you use the area for defecation purposes as opposed to going to a same toilet with their child. So it's more of a situation of a cultural belief in Zambia that is still being worked on in collaboration with a lot of sectors in the government, to ensure that people are not vulnerable to the consequences of open defecation. Thank you.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you. Okay, next one here from Angela, who has said, great presentation, Victoria. Thank you. How receptive is the community in Zambia to community education sessions, and what factors influence their level of engagement and participation in those sessions?
Thank you so much for that question as well. And my time with the time I've spent interacting with communities and topics to do with education training, hygiene training, we find them so intrigued and interested to find out more about some of these practices that they may have taken for granted. And we try to share with them more on the importance of these practices that can prevent diseases that these people are experiencing in these areas. So we find a situation where people in the community experience a lot of stomach aches, diarrhea. They're very vulnerable to such diseases, and they would be so amused and happy to learn more on how they can actually avoid these diseases when we engage them in the trainings that have to do with hygiene, good hygiene practices. So we do see a lot of participation, and we do see how the community really takes this information that we share with them seriously, because we share a lot of hygiene sanitation products to the community, and these are now being used, are now something that we see more in the community. And Good Neighbors is working with the government that is also trying to engage a lot of members of the community to ensure that their practices are improved due to the poor health situation that they are vulnerable to. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, the next one says, that's very informative, Victoria. Just one question. It was mentioned that the water in the water wells, it's mentioned that the water in the water well built is tested before the people can use it. Is it also checked regularly, whether that's monthly or yearly?
Thank you so much for that question again. And so what happens is, before we hand over the borehole to the community or the school, we wait on the water quality test results. And the water quality test results are the ones that give a go ahead to proceed with the handover or to do more tests or consider another water point drilling if we find that the quality of water there is contaminated. And in an instance where it is reported that the water that was used from the water well was contaminated or caused an illness, we also do facilitate to ensure that the water point is either closed in good time or ensure that there's testing that is done. And we do engage some suppliers to recommend how best they can be handled or maintained in an instance where the water facility is contaminated. But with the water wells that we have drilled so far, there has never been an issue recorded with the water quality of the water facilities that have been drilled so far. And looking at the meters that we drill these water wells, it's usually Zambia recommends 50 meters drilling, but Good Neighbors usually drills a bit further to ensure that even during dry season, people still have access to water. And this water that is way deeper is less vulnerable to contamination, easy contamination. Thank you.
Yeah, great. And that's great. I suppose with all the 220 or more that you said, water facilities that you've done so far, not a single one has ever had that problem. So that's really wonderful to hear. Brilliant. Okay, and I suppose it's a similar question then. The next question says, how are the people chosen and trained for the water committees?
Thank you so much for that question. And to the train, when it comes to training, we do have the Ministry of Community Development by the Zambian government, and we do engage them with trained engineers to come on board to work with Good Neighbors and to facilitate the training of candidates that are interested or have a bit of past education on how to maintain or fix water facilities in the community. So this kind of initiative has ensured that the community is not left vulnerable or left with no water for such a long period in an instance where the water point is damaged or has a minor maintenance issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, then I have one here saying, love the presentation, Victoria. Are there any specific activities conducted by Good Neighbors Zambia that aim to spread awareness about water and sanitation in rural Zambian villages?
Okay, thank you for that question. And yes, we do have programs that aim to sensitize and do a lot of community awareness. And we begin our awareness at in instances when we have activities where we have gathered community members. So we also do some awareness trainings in schools. So we do have early childhood centers, primary schools, and high schools. And we do take time to engage all levels of the pupils to at least have some idea on how to practice proper hygiene at school and at home. And we also do share these kinds of trainings when we have meetings with the elderly and when we are meeting with the parents of the children on our sponsorship program. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, the next question here is saying, how many people have access to the mobile water application you mentioned to report on the quality and maintenance of the water wells?
Thank you so much for that question. So currently, the people that have access to this M-Water application that we are using are the people working in our local offices in the community development projects that we have set up. Due to lack of access to mobile phones, people in the community are still not using this application to find safe drinking water. We as Good Neighbors are using this application to monitor functionality of the water points that have been set up by Good Neighbors Zambia. Thank you.
Yeah, brilliant. That makes sense. Okay, one here from Good Neighbors Tanzania. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. And they have said, do the communities have to pay user fees for your community water wells? If not, how do you go about the maintenance cost? Also, what do you do to ensure that the communities have ownership towards the installed facilities?
Thank you so much for that question. Let's begin with the question when it comes to ownership. The community usually contributes a 10% towards the installation of a water point. This is to ensure that they have a feeling of ownership of the water facility that has been set up there. And communities do not pay a fee to access these water facilities that have been set up by Good Neighbors. When we hand them over to the community, we ensure that the community is aware that this water facility is theirs. And in an instance where they have to do maintenance works, that's when the community is able to mobilize within themselves some resources to fix some of the problems, minor problems that they may encounter with the water point. But that does not mean that Good Neighbor Zambia does not also, is not also contributing towards maintenance. In an instance where the water point is, the problem is too big for the community to handle, Good Neighbor Zambia is still there to ensure that the water facility is functional. Thank you.
Great, yeah, that's really interesting. I know that a few different Good Neighbours offices sort of implement similar things, because it is very important, isn't it, for communities to feel some kind of sense of ownership and responsibility over these facilities if we are to leave them in their hands. Great. Okay. Oh, there's a really lovely question here coming. Has there been a memorable change in a community that you've personally worked in that you would like to tell us about?
Thank you so much for that question. I have numerous encounters with memorable experiences here at Good Neighbor Zambia, and I have interacted with a lot of our sponsors, the children on the sponsorship program, and I have had an opportunity to see the happiness and joy that comes with having access to some services that we do provide them with. If you could see the photo that I began to share, there were children that were seated and had a backpack. Usually when children are distributed with such items as well, we see so much joy in the community, and the parents of these children are usually so overwhelmed with the work that is done. And when we do support the community with water facilities, we see so much joy, dancing, celebration towards the relief of stress to walk and to extra miles to access clean water for their households. So I have had a lot of encounters where I've seen a lot of families overjoyed with the installation of a water facility. And some of the videos that we have shared do reflect a lot of the joy that we see in communities when a water facility has been set up. This has reduced the burden for parents, especially mothers and children, who are forced to be who are usually the custodians of this chore in a household in rural communities in Zambia. So yes, thank you.
You were absolutely glowing as you answered that question, Victoria. The smile was I felt it all the way here from Canada. It's so lovely to hear how wonderfully passionate you are about your work. And of course, how could you not be when you change so many lives and you feel that community joy? It's absolutely beautiful. Okay, I believe I'm currently at the end of the list of questions. So if anyone does have anything else they'd like to ask, please feel free to submit it in the chat now. I would like to ask one other question, Victoria. A lot of the people who have joined us here today and who will be watching this recording are supporters of your work here in Canada who might never have been to Zambia, but are still very interested in water access initiatives that you do. So what message would you have for our current audience and for future listeners to this video about your work, or about how they can get more involved and support you?
Thank you so much. Well, what I would say to encourage listeners to this meeting is that you do not know the extent of joy that you bring to these households. And the better life, the better quality of life that is given to children who have access to the water facilities that are being installed by Good Neighbor Zambia through your support is a situation where it changes their lives. Instead of spending so much time drawing water in homes, focusing on chores and doing all these other things, children have an ability to be a child. So I would encourage each and every person who's got an opportunity to contribute towards the changing of a child's life here in Zambia, that their lives will be more meaningful with the change that is being made by your support. Thank you.
That's absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. So yeah, for anyone who is interested in supporting the work of Good Neighbors Zambia, we call it our Wishing Well program. So I'm just going to drop the link directly to the Good Neighbors Canada Wishing Well webpage. You can have a read about the work that we've been doing. There's also an online donation form on there if you'd like to donate via an online card payment. And as a Canadian registered charity, we are able to give you a full charitable tax receipt for the entire amount of any donation that you're able to give. And of course, if you want to get more involved, you don't just want to give money and you are interested in participating in that Step for Water challenge this month, it is still running until September the 30th. So you can scroll up again in the chat, back to that registration link, and you can participate either on your own or as a team. Okay, so it looks as though we've reached the end of the questions for this session. So I'm going to hand back over to our Executive Director, Ms. Yang Cho, for some final words, please.
Thank you very much, Victoria and Rachel, for this meaningful meeting. And it's kind of struck to me that, like Victoria mentioned, the change that we are making. So every single dollar, or like even small or big, it doesn't really matter because it directly impacts our people there. And Victoria is the kind of blessed person that you can able to see like people's joy and actual changes. So I just want to encourage everyone to be part of this change. So if you want to change your world, like that sounds very big, but small things you can do. You can contribute your time or contribute your financial support, or just simply tell your friends that's talking about this. It's very important. So every single action is meaningful. So I just want to encourage everyone to be part of this change. So thank you very much. And please stay tuned with Good Neighbors Canada. You can see our news, our activities or project through Instagram, Facebook, our website. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.